Hey guys, we are going to move on into chapter 24 of South Asia for Unit 8. And chapter 24 deals with the landforms, the resources, the climate, vegetation, and the human environment interaction. You're not going to have to read anything. I'm going to just go ahead and sum it all up in this quick video, hopefully, and then we'll move on next week. One of the things you need to think of whenever you think of South Asia, you think of mountains. They've got a lot of mountains. They've got a lot of rivers, big rivers, and then they also have a lot of people. About 20% of the entire population of the world live in this area of South Asia. As far as mountain ranges, they have the largest mountain range in the entire world with the Himalayan mountain range. And so, for example, if you look at this map where you see these circles, these are mountain ranges. And so they have the Himalayan mountain ranges, and this is the home of Mount Everest, as well as some other very high ones, that basically go all along the northern part of India, down through Nepal, Bhutan, that area. Remember those hermit or kingdom countries. And so you have the Himalayan mountain range, but you also have another one called the Karakoram. This is just to the northeast of India, and this is the home to the second largest mountain or tallest mountain in the entire world, K2. But you also have another mountain range right here, and this is in between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And this one is called the Hindu Kush Mountains. And this is one reason why you typically put Afghanistan, which is right here, over with Southeast Asia or Southwest Asia whenever we learned about that. And then we put Pakistan over here because these Hindu Kush Mountains, they've created a huge barrier between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Matter of fact, all these mountain ranges, the Karakoram, the Himalayan mountain range, they've created a barrier so that basically this entire region is kind of secluded down here. So they're either got mountains all the way around, or else they got water all the way around. And it's kind of made them a little bit more secluded through the years. You also have a couple other mountain ranges, Vindhya, which is kind of parallel to the Himalayan mountain range, and it's in the northern part of India. And then you also have what we call the Western and the Eastern Ghats. And so you have the Western Ghats and you have the Eastern Ghats, and they're on both sides of India. And then kind of right in the middle, they've created a little plateau. This is the Deccan Plateau. So you have the coastal range, then you have mountains, and then you have a plateau. And so that's typically what you have when you're thinking of this South Asia. Think of a lot of mountain ranges. Another thing I'd mention is the rivers. Remember, they have a lot of rivers as well. And part of that is if you're going to have mountains, you're going to have rivers. When you're going to have some of the largest mountains in the entire world, you're going to have a lot of water coming down from there at some point during the year. And so you have rivers. And so there's three main rivers in this area, even though there are thousands of massive rivers, big rivers, but there are three main ones. And one is called the Indus River. And the Indus River flows down from the Hindu Kush Mountains up here, and it flows over here by Pakistan and India, and it goes on down here to the Arabian Sea. So you had the Indus River river civilization, which you probably looked at in the Unit 8 questions a couple days ago. And so you have the Indus River, and then you also have the Ganges River, and then you have another one called the Brahmaputra. And those are the three main rivers that basically will provide water for millions and millions of people in this entire area. These rivers will flow down, not just provide water, but also flow down with some really rich soil, so that these areas all along here and all along here are very fertile. In South Asia, there's a cycle of dry seasons and wet seasons. Right now, they're in a dry season. Matter of fact, from October all the way until the end of May, that is the dry season, maybe in the driest season. So right now, in April and May, this is the driest time. This is possibly a time when they're going to be dealing with a drought. And they have these winds, they're going to flow down basically from the northeast, and they're going to blow over the Himalayan mountains, and they're going to blow in this direction, and they're going to create some, what we would call the dry monsoon winds. And it dries everything out. Eventually, it creates even a drought environment, like I had mentioned before. They do actually have a desert here as well. So if you look over here in the northern part of India, near Pakistan, there's a desert over here called the Thar Desert. And as you can imagine, this is a pretty dry place. They only get about 10 inches of rain a year. if they get that much. And you got to remember, if you're going to be surrounded by mountains, there's typically going to be a desert somewhere on the backside of the mountains, right? Well, this one has mountains here, mountains here, mountains here. And so right through here, this is a very, very dry area. This is called the Thar Desert. There's another desert, but we're not going to talk about it a whole lot, and it's on the backside of the Himalayan mountains. So you can imagine this would be a very dry desert because it's got the Himalaya, they're guarded by the Himalayan mountains, and that's called the Gobi Desert. This is in China. And so, with that being said, you have the dry seasons, you have this wind coming down over the Gobi Desert, over the Himalayan mountains, and then coming into India this way. And this is the dry monsoon winds, happen from October to May. So then you have the wet monsoon winds. There's going to be a shift. And so with that being said, come June, starting in June, all the way through September, winds are going to shift, and they're going to come up from the Arabian Peninsula, the Arabian Sea, and the winds are going to come in this direction. And that water that's picked up by the Arabian Sea is going to hit these mountains, and they're going to drop it over the plateau. They're going to continue to work their way this way. As they hit these mountains right here, any water that's left over in the clouds, by the time they hit the Himalayan mountains, they're going to be squeezed, and all that water is going to fall down into that river system of the Ganges and the Brahmaputra, or over here into the Hindu Kush, and you're going to go into the Indus River Valley. And so with that being said, there's a lot of water. You're going to go from a drought conditions, say maybe in April and May, to being in June and July, going to be in flooding conditions. And they have lots and lots of problems with flooding in South Asia come the summer months for us. And so they, like I said, they have a couple of seasons. It's the wet season and it's the dry season. And so they definitely struggle with flooding. Remember, those are called monsoon winds, okay? As for the vegetation zones, South Asia has everything from, like I said before, they have desert zones, they have plateaus, they have coastal zones, they also have the forests. Like, for example, right over here, they have lots of forests. They have tropical rainforests. As a matter of fact, this is where you're going to find the Bengal tiger. The Bengal tiger is native to this entire area, Myanmar, which is this country right over here. And then you have, of course, Bangladesh, and then the northeastern part of India. And even in Bhutan and Nepal, you're going to have an area that's going to have, it's going to be perfect for Bengal tigers. And the Bengal tiger was almost extinct in the 1970s. And as a result of human-environment interaction, people have finally reached out and stopped killing these animals and actually created lots of places for them to thrive. And so there's a comeback right now of the Bengal tigers, which is great. And so you have other desert zones, or other vegetation zones, climate zones, I should say. You have, of course, you have the highlands, which are the mountain ranges. So you have a little bit of everything from the desert to the coastal areas to the mountains. Let's see. I talked about human-environment interaction with the tigers that are being protected over here. Also, more human-environment interaction. You can see that with the number of dams and the hydroelectric plants that are being built along these rivers, which is obviously a good thing. But one of the negative impacts of human-environment interaction in this area is with the use of the Ganges River. The Ganges River works its way down here and empties into the Bay of Bengal. But the great majority of people in India, as you guys learned before when you're looking at the Unit 8 questions, the great majority of these people are of the Hindu faith. And the Hindu faith, they worship lots of different gods or goddesses, and they believe that the Ganges River is one of their goddesses, and so they will worship the goddess of the Ganges River. And so what they'll do is they think that its waters have power, and so they'll drink of the water, trying to give themselves maybe some protection or some healing. They'll bathe in it. Typically in the morning, they'll go out and bathe in this water, or else purify themselves with this water. And so you'd think that maybe that's not such a bad thing, but you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of people that are doing this. The other thing is there's other people Hindus that also believe that maybe you should, because this is a powerful river that has power with the goddess, that they should dump the ashes of their dead one or their dead loved relatives in there. So they'll dump the ashes of the people in their home that have died, or else maybe they'll throw their entire corpse in there. And so it's not uncommon for them to find corpses floating down the Ganges River, and yet at the same time, other people bathing in it or drinking of it. Also, you have, once again, this serves hundreds of millions of people. And because it serves hundreds of millions of people, that means there's human sewage of hundreds of millions of people that eventually end up in this Ganges River, or else all the animals that they have and their sewage will end up in there. Plus, there's many factories and industrial areas that they have waste that will flow into the Ganges River. So the Ganges River through the years has turned into one of the most, or not one of the most, it is the most polluted river in the entire world. And yet people still think that they can derive power from it, or protection from it, or healing from it. And when in turn it actually ends up causing lots of intestinal problems, lots of sickness. So not very good things going on over there with the Ganges River. They are trying to clean up the Ganges River. They haven't had a whole lot of success with that, and it's been very, very slow coming. So those are some things I wanted to hit on chapter 24. When you think of this area, think of lots of people, which has also caused lots of problems, such as polluted rivers. But it's also, think of lots of rivers, because there's lots of mountains, and lots of different climate zones or vegetation zones, because they have everything from, once again, from the coastal areas to the plateaus, to the deserts, to the mountain areas. So that is chapter 24 of South Asia. Starting next week, what I'll do on Monday and Tuesday, I'll have all your work in for the entire week that I'll post on Google Classroom. So if you want to get started on Monday or Tuesday and finish it all for the entire week, then you'll be done the rest of the week. So I'll try to get it in there. You get it done as quick as you can. Make sure I have all your work by Friday, because on Friday evening or Saturday, I'm going to make sure I go back and I grade everything and have an update every single week by that next week. And I'll be contacting you if you're not getting your work done. But we only got a few more weeks, so finish strong. We'll get through this together. And also, today there is a parade, so the teachers will be driving around neighborhoods in Bosqueville and waving and honking at everyone. So I hope to see some of you guys out there. Hope you all have a great weekend, and take care.